Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial we will learn how to make this Caribbean skirt with elastic waistband. If this sounds like what you're interested in, keep on watching, and if you find it helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So guys, I have my fabrics already cut out and I'm going to explain exactly how I cut it out. If you notice carefully, this is a two-step Caribbean skirt. The length of what I have here, both the upper part and the down part, is 35 inches as you can see. So I want the skirt length to be 33 inches. By the time I am done making the skirt, I want it to be about 33 inches. So 2 inches will be used to hem the down part, and then ½ inch will be used to sew these two together, and then the other ½ inch will go to the waistband. All right, so that is what I have here. So for the first layer, which is the part going towards the waistline, I have it to be 13 inches by length, and for the second layer I have it to be 22 inches by length. So you can just decide to divide your total skirt length into two and make the two steps equal, okay? But I just want the upper part to be shorter than the down part. I just hope you understood. All right. So each of the layers has two pieces, okay? The upper part I cut it 2 pieces because we are going to have a side joining. So what I have as the wideness is 40 inches. All right, so I have 40 inches here. This is the front, and the second one is also 40 inches for the back. All right, so the down part, I multiply what I have here by 1.5 inches, and that is what I use to cut the down part. So 40 inches multiplied by 1.5 gave me 60 inches. So the wideness of this down part now is 60 inches. The wideness is 60 inches. All right, so I have 60 inches for the front, also have 60 inches for the back. I just hope you understand. So I'll keep this upper part aside. I'm going to work on the down parts, okay? So I'll run a gather stitch on top of each of them. So guys, I have run the gather like I explained. So you're going to go ahead now to pull. So for you to know the amount of gathers you're going to make, you're going to gather it up to what you have on the upper part. For me, I have 40 inches there, so I'll go ahead now to gather this down part up to 40 inches. So you will take your time to pull, as you can see me doing, in order to gather it. So after gathering, you will go ahead to cross check in order to see if it is up to what you want. So after gathering my own, I'm going ahead to adjust, and I remeasured and it was up to what I want. So the next thing you will do is to bring back that upper part. You're going to sew them together, right side facing right side. I'm going to sew them together by ½ inch, as you can see me doing this way. So this is for the front. You also repeat the same thing for the back, okay? For this is my back. You also bring that upper part and sew it together, right side facing right side, and I'll bring it back. So after I was done sewing, this is the front. Can you see? I also run a gather stitch at the top of the skirt, all right? And here is the back. All right, I also run a gather stitch at the top of the skirt. So guys, before I go further to take the next step, I'm going to align the front and the back on the sides like this, right side facing right side. From the waistline, I will mark down 2 inches and give a mark. So I'll go ahead to notch that part. That is where the pocket is going to start. All right, so it is totally optional. If you do not want a pocket, it is totally optional. I'll also repeat the same thing right here. Align the bolts together this way. Mark down 2 inches from the waistline and give it a notch. So after I was done doing that, I have already cut out my pocket. So I just basically placed my hands this way, and I traced out the shape of my fingers. So for the length of the pocket, it is 8 inches. All right, so I will go ahead now to sew. By the way, I have it to be 4 pieces. I'll go ahead now to place it on that notch where I made right there. Can you see? Place it on the notch this way, and I will go ahead to sew. Also repeat the same thing here. Place the second and also go ahead to sew. I'll also repeat the same thing for the back side. All right, so guys, after sewing the pocket, this is it for one side and this is it for the other side. All right, So the next thing you're going to do now is to work on the waistline of the skirt. So remember that this skirt has an elastic waistband, which will also help us to ruch the waistline. So what I'm going to do now is to gather this waistline up to her hip measurement. All right, so since we have it to be 2, you're going to divide your hip measurement by 2. Gather one side up to half of your hip measurement, gather the other side also up to the half of your hip measurement. Hope you understood. So my client's hip measurement is 43 inches divided by 2 gives me 21.5 inches. So I will gather one part up to 21.5 inches, gather the other side up to 21.5 inches. And after I was done doing that, this is what I have. So the next thing is to sew the front and the back on the sides. All right, so you're going to put them right side facing right side. Spread out your pocket this way. So you go ahead now to sew. So you will sew from the waistline by 1 inch, then round the pocket by ½ inch, then the down part by 1 inch as well. You also repeat the same thing here. So from the waistline, you're going to sew by 1 inch, all around the pocket ½ inch, and then the down part 1 inch. So after joining the bow together, I'll also go ahead to hem the down part of my skirt. So the next thing is to work on the waistband, and I have cut it out already. So to know the length of your waistband, you're going to measure around the skirt, okay, around the waistline of the skirt. So whatever you have there, you will add extra 1 inch to it. That is exactly what I have done here. So I will also open it up so we can measure the length. So the length I have here is 5.5 inches. By the time you fold it into 2, it will be 2.75 inches. Okay, so I've also cut out my 2 inches elastic, and the wideness of this elastic is her real waist measurement. So her real waist measurement is 32 inches. I minused 4 inches from that, and I used it to cut out the elastic. So guys, I will take you all to my machine so that we can be able to create our waistband. All right, so we're going to start by sewing the elastic. I'm going to place one on top of the other. So I'm going to go ahead now to sew this multiple times so that it will be very firm. As you can see me doing like this, I'm going to sew it. After that is done, you're going to bring the main waistband, the fabric, and place it right side facing right side. You will go ahead now to sew by ½ inch. After that is done, you're going to fold it back together this way. So you're going to insert your elastic inward, so you can go ahead to create the waistband. So you can see the way I'm doing it. Insert your elastic this way, and you go ahead to sew. So guys, as you are sewing, make sure you are pulling out your elastic. You know the fabric itself is more than the elastic, so drag it out as you sew. Can you see what I'm doing? So that the fabric can contain all of the elastic. If at this point you haven't subscribed to the channel, kindly do that. It is totally free, and let's continue. So after sewing the waistband, this is what it will look like. You're going to spread it properly this way. So you're going to go ahead to spread it out properly, as you can see me doing. So after spreading it out, we have it looking this way. So we'll go ahead now to attach it to the main skirt. All right, so I'm going to place the waistband this way. You will now go ahead to sew carefully. So you can see the way I am dragging out the elastic at the down part at the waistband. All right, so I'm going to be dragging it out this way, and you will sew. Okay, so go ahead to sew all around. Can you see the way I'm dragging out the waistband this way? So I'm going to continue this process. Keep dragging out or spreading out the waistband, so the skirt will contain the waistband, as you can see me doing. Can you see the way I'm pulling it out? So guys, after you're done stitching, you're going to have it looking this way. So you can see how lovely and firm it looks. You can decide to leave your waistband like this, but I want to add extra stitch on top of this waistband, so it is totally optional. All right, so you're going to stretch out your waistband like this. I'm just going to show you a little process of how I did it. Stretch out your waistband this way and go ahead to run extra stitches. So from the top, come down by ½ inch and run a normal stitch on top of it. You will continue sewing it until you get to where you started the first stitch, and when you get to that point, you top stitch and stop. All right. So after I was done running the first stitch, I'm going ahead to run the second stitch now. So from the down part, I also went up by ½ inch. Remember, the first stitch was from the upper part. I came down by ½ inch and run the stitch. So for the second one, from the down part of the waistband, I went up by ½ inch, and I'm going ahead to run extra stitch. And also, do not forget to spread out your waistband as you sew. So you're going to sew it to the end. And if you find this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload new videos. Drop your comment, and this will be the end of today's tutorial. See you on the next one.